Somebody said this should be the title of my autobiography. Would somebody tell me when they're going to yell cut? The dolly's now moving in for my close-up. I mean, there's so much that seems cinematic about what I'm doing. I mean, it seems like it's a fucking movie. This amount of pain and amount of death and amount of drama, just hardcore, on the edge, heavy duty, day in and day out drama. Which is, of course, what I always wanted. There are a lot more cars. I realize that's the other show too, but yeah, well, it's both of us.
Entertainment Tonight is next. An actor goes public with his illness to fight Hollywood's fear of AIDS.
One actor who has refused to play that game, Michael Kearns, is a gay actor. He recently revealed he is HIV positive.
Michael has been a successful actor for years, with roles on Cheers and Murder, She Wrote, as well as the films Kentucky Fried Movie and Body Double. Michael has a one-man play touring the country now, and that fact alone, he says, could be proof positive to Hollywood producers. But actors with AIDS can work.
KCRT Radio Hospital. Michael Kearns, Intimacy. Tonight. Unbelievable. Outrageous. Audacious. Auspicious. Can't take the kiddies, but one hell of a show. Been all over the country. Top reviews. I've seen it. I recommend it. You gotta be there. Tonight, 8 o'clock. Back in a minute.
My name's Mark. I'm an alcoholic and drug addict. We were not identical twins. Not identical in any way.
In between hand jobs, I concentrate on forgiveness. That's all I got time for these days.
A man needs to be fucked. Those were his exact words. This white boy with yellow hair, the color of corn, from Iowa or Ohio. I do not know the difference. Jim. I call him Jim Boy because he looks like he could have been on the Waltons. That is my children's favorite show. They watch all the reruns. Jim Boy showed up at the club where I have been dancing for the past 23 years. He saw my picture in a newspaper advertisement. I like manly men, he said to me, macho men, dark men, men with sturdy legs and strong stares. Well, I guess I fit the bill, I said to this boy with much guts. But I am not gay. He stared right through me, his pale blue eyes penetrating me. A man needs to be fucked, he said. Everyone assumes male dancers are queer. Not true. I grew up with kids taunting me. Here comes the dancer, they'd say, as if dancer meant fairy, faggot, fruit. Here comes the dancer. I learned to outrun them. Most of those guys are dead by now. Gang fights. I outran them and I outlived them. Dancing was not what my father had in mind for his only son. Dancing is for sissies, he'd hiss. In order to go to dancing school, I had to prove I was no sissy. I became a ladies' man. At a very early age, my father was impressed, if not with my dancing ability, with my ability to attract beautiful girls. I got married to please my dad. I was 17. Marrying Gabriella made it easier for my father to accept the idea of me becoming a dancer. There was never any kind of question about what kind of dancer I'd be. From the time I was a little boy and saw the picture of a flamenco dancer in a book, I knew While other boys my age wanted to be Superman, I longed for the power and the passion of that flamenco dancer's strong stare, his impenetrability. I carried that picture around with me for years for inspiration. Thank God I was good enough to get a steady job flamenco dancing by the time Gabriela became pregnant with our first child. After I moved away from home, I had only 2 serious discussions with my father, and both of them were about butt fucking. Our first man-to-man talk, as he called them, occurred when Gabriela ballooned up from the pregnancy. You must not commit adultery, he said to me, being a strict Catholic. But being a man, you will have urges, and your wife will be too sick or too fat or too whatever. Find a boy, a puto, to fuck in the ass, he said to me, as if this was the 11th commandment. Find a puto to fuck in the ass. Feels great, he said. You will not know the difference. Like Iowa and Ohio, I thought. So I did. And it did. Our second man-to-man talk occurred less than 3 years later, when Gabriela was pregnant with our 3rd child. You obviously have not learned how to practice birth control, he said to me. I knew he was not speaking about rubbers forbidden by the church. You must learn to fuck her like you fuck those pretty boy putos. Then, no more babies. Suddenly, I knew why I was an only child. Gabriela would not go for it. Hurts too bad, she said, so we had 2 more babies in as many years. Feeding 500 kids on the salary of a flamenco dancer is not easy. Of course, there were ladies at the club who offered me gifts. I knew they wanted to feel what was between the flamenco dancer's sturdy legs. When one lady offered me $100, I knew she wanted more than a feel. I blamed Gabriela. If she'd done what my father had suggested, I wouldn't have to fuck this old broad for $100. But I did. I had 500 kids to feed. It became a weekly ritual with this rich old broad. Then I started servicing her girlfriends. I was exhausted, but I was making an extra $1,000 a month. I still, even at my age, get offers. As long as they don't see my feet. As long as it doesn't spread onto my face, into my mouth. There is one conversation I did not have with my father about butt fucking. A conversation that might have saved my life. A man needs to be fucked, he whispered. We are in the hotel room which he has rented for the weekend. The newspaper advertisement of me is on the dresser. He is rubbing my feet. You have such attitude when you're on stage, he says to me. I do not understand attitude. Charisma, he says. Oh, garbo. Garbo is what you're meaning. Garbo, like in Greta Garbo, he asks. We laugh. He begins kissing my feet, licking my toes, putting each toe into his mouth like they're cherry popsicles. He's sucking my toes. I'm feeling things I have never felt before. I feel his finger slide into my ass as he works his way up from my feet, kissing my ankles, my knees, my calves, my balls, until I am completely wet. His tongue is inside me. I will never be the same. He fucks me with his tongue, and then he is on top of me, kissing my face, whispering in my ear, tell me how much you need it, he says to me, tell me how much you need it. I need to be fucked, I hear myself say, under the spell of this boy from Iowa or Ohio. I do not know the difference. It does not hurt, but I feel tears on my face. Or could it be the juices from this young boy's mouth? I am coming! I am gay! I am not gay. I am a husband and a father, a good Catholic, a Spanish flamenco dancer, Catholic, Mexican, that's just... Those are not lesions on my feet. Those are patches of passion, purple tattoos oozing from places on my skin where his lips touched, feet first, moving up my legs, inside my ass, up my chest, inside my mouth, until I am covered with his deadly marks, his lovely kisses, a violet shroud of love and death. I will not die. He gave me his youth, injected me with immortality. I do not have AIDS. I am not gay. I am Spanish, immortal, Superman, impenetrable, a ladies' man, a ladies' man. He needs to be fucked. Now I know the difference. Before Jim Boy, I did not know the difference between life and death, gay and straight, Iowa and Ohio. Now, I know the truth.
Why are we doing this over and over again? It's driving me nuts. It's so tedious. You know, it's hard for me to talk out here. I first went to Hollywood in 1971, and I was 21 years old, and it was absolutely wild. I mean, sex and drugs and Hollywood, when you're 21 years old, is an awesome equation.
Never before has the beauty of the sexual act been so crassly exploited.
I was a drug addict, and you know, I did all that stuff that drug addicts do, you know. When necessary, raided people's medicine cabinets and hustled to get money to buy drugs.
The following program will contain explicit sexual material and possibly should not be watched by adults. Let me introduce to you now 3 guests who all are familiar with the business of male prostitution, starting with Mr. Michael Kearns, better known as the Happy Hustler. Mr. Kearns began in the hustling business when he was 15. He says of himself, quote, "I'm a bright, charming young stud who will sell my body to any one man or woman for the right price. I'm proud of what I do, and I love doing it."
My life was very seedy. Actually, it was. No, well, you know, I suppose I don't like talking about it because I have separated in a sort of reinvention mode. I've reinvented myself, and I've that person who had that seedy life is dead, sort of. So I don't really. I almost relate to it as another sort of storybook character.
Oh, yeah, Walton. Well, I wondered where you were. Nice to have you with us, Walton. Thank you, Walton. Yeah,
I became a successful Hollywood actor. That's me on the Waltons.
Listen, come up with anything you can't handle, give me a whistle, okay?
I'm an actor. That's me in Body Double.
Hi, Sam.
And Cheers.
Well, I got a little bit of
I wasn't a household name, but I was working consistently on movies and hit TV shows.
That took a lot of guts.
For the first 10 years in Hollywood, but I was cast how I looked. I was the hunk, or the handsome boy, or the guy, or the love interest, or the sexy one. It was a limited palette used between the time I arrived in Hollywood in the beginning of the 70s and the time I got sober. Enough?
At Actor Brad Davis died last week, keeping his illness a secret to the end because of Hollywood's fear of hiring actors with AIDS. In an effort to combat that fear, another actor who has tested positive for HIV has gone public.
I was so moved by Brad Davis's death that I have decided to go public with my HIV status, which is positive.
Actor Michael Kern's very public announcement yesterday on NBC's A Closer Look came as a result of the recent death of Brad Davis. Davis had kept his AIDS status a secret for fear of not getting work.
It's immoral the way his life had to end, and I really have to point the finger, as he did, to Hollywood.
In between hand jobs, I concentrate on forgiveness. That's all I got time for these days. It's just a matter of time. Oh, I've been lucky. I got a few lesions on my head and this tiny one on my face. Most women's don't get lesions. That's what they told me at the clinic. Little bitch who told me was making a point knowing my profession. Lesions is God's way of punishing a hoe like me, she was saying. I don't believe that shit. How'd I get it? How long have I had it? Now what the fuck difference does that make? Probably from a drug addict. Oh, or maybe up the old poop chute. You'd be surprised how many guys hire a whore so they can act like they're a faggot. Suck my dick, let me fuck you in the ass. I made my tricks wear rubbers back when AIDS was something I took to keep the weight off. Oh, but there might have been a few druggy strangers shooting up. You never know about that. And oh yeah, Walter. I forget a lot these days. It might be the disease. Now, Walter, he swears he ain't got it, but he ain't been tested neither. Walter and I got back together a couple years ago. He's the only man I ever loved, so I like to think I got it from love and not from some druggy stranger who popped open a rubber, you hear me? Walter could be the one. He's been shooting drugs most of his life and fucking with transsexuals and transvestites. I don't even know which is which. Sometimes I think that's why he comes back to me. I can suck dick and I dress like a drag queen. First time I ever got paid to suck dick, I was 11 or 12 years old. This nasty uncle, my mother's brother, he paid me to keep my mouth shut. Well, I mean to keep my mouth wide open, then shut up tight. I was a quick learner. Probably because I liked it. I liked the feeling of warmth shooting inside me. I liked the cash. I liked being good at something. Eventually, I started giving blowjobs to teenage punks in a downtown movie theater. I'd be lucky to get a box of jujubes, but I liked it. That's where I met Walter. I was 14 at the time. He was a few years older, real tough guy, juvenile delinquent. Now, he liked to watch me go down on his buddies as much as he liked in it himself. Baby, some guys, now this might surprise you, but some guys, they need a finger up their butt to keep it hard. Walter was one of them guys. He even liked the finger up there when he fucked me, which he did, not at the movie theater, usually in his car where one of his nasty friends would watch. I married him. 4 or 5 months pregnant at the time. I got a 10-year-old daughter to prove it. Sarah, my one and only baby child. Walter went to jail when she was a baby. My mama had to raise her. I hit these streets, and I've been here ever since. You must wonder why I can't get off these streets. Now listen, I ain't doing nothing dangerous. Most of the hand jobs these days, most I can make 20 or 30 bucks. How many hand jobs will it take to send Farrah to college? I'll tell you this, it beats the fuck out of being a waitress. I tried that, just another form of hustling. I was lying to you when I told you I only got one daughter. I got a baby. Annie is her name. She's just 8 months old. One of them popped open rubbers. Oh, Walter could be her daddy. Annie's in bad shape. She and I, we got something in common. You know. Wears a colostomy bag. That tiny baby weighs less than a pair of my high heels. That disease is in her. It's just a matter of time. I used to not believe in abortion. Now I do. Oh, Annie's okay now. She's living in this big house with this big, strong lady who wouldn't have no babies home. Right after Annie born, I started getting chemotherapy. I bet you already figured this is not my real hair. A bald hair is worse than a diseased hair. You can't always see the disease. I've been lucky. God gave me a beautiful head of red hair, my best feature. Some guys will pay me just to tickle their balls with my long red hair. My hair, it's been my calling card. That's my nickname, Big Red, named after my hair. God took that hair away and gave me some beauty marks on my head. That's why I call them beauty marks. And one tiny, tiny, tiny beauty mark on my face. God knew I could buy a wig. God knew I needed to keep working so I could send money to Ferris grandma who takes care of her. They don't know I'm sick. Farrah don't know she's got a dying mother and a dying baby sister. Secrets. I keep so many secrets. If I was going to start blaming people for my life, I guess I'd start there. But what's the point, huh? Big Red is going to keep on trucking. God ain't punishing me. How could he punish a baby like Annie and not punish my mama for encouraging her own daughter to become a slut? That don't make much sense now, does it? I just try to forgive my mama. She promises me she's not pimping Farrah. I got to believe her. And I forgive that nasty uncle, Walter, the asshole who broke open the rubber. Whoever gave me these beauty marks and a baby born to die. It's just a matter of time. Time for forgiveness. Well, who knows? One day, I might even forgive. Forget that. I ain't got that much time left.
Do you wake up and look for things on your body? Is this part of it?
I hear about that. Yeah, I mean, I've been through it. I don't do it now.
And what was that?
I never woke up on a daily basis and looked at it. I hear people talk about this and I think, what? You know, I'm not that. I mean, I would see something and think it was a lesion, I think.
Like what?
Oh, like an ingrown hair, you know. I would look at it and sort of say, oh, I think I have a lesion. I remember calling Philip and saying, I have a lesion. I know it's a lesion. Da-da-da-da-da. This is it. I have a lesion. My first lesion. Da-da-da. But guess what? You know, after about 2 hours, you go, oh, I have a lesion. Well, now, what are we going to eat for dinner?
Show Michael, what is it?
What?
From the...
Oh, this. Oh, yeah.
Wait.
My camera operating lesion.
The lesion.
Camera, C-A-L. Usually they start on their feet. A lot of times it seems to start on the feet. Don't ask me why. Feet is one of the first places they seem to show up.
Yeah.
But you know, now less and less is
Isn't
it
the
happening.
white dots on your cheekbone a little?
No, that's been there.
Some discoloration of, because that's why I saw things like that too.
No, that's been there since all my life.
Oh.
But yes.
Lesions come up overnight?
Yeah, I could have a lesion. I could wake up tomorrow morning and have a lesion on my face. The point is that the world does not end. You know, so that's all sort of been healthy too. But I was never neurotically obsessed with is this it? Is this it? I mean, first of all, I don't get colds, so I haven't had many colds. I think since I've been HIV positive, since I've known I was HIV positive, I might have had one severe sort of cold like everybody gets, you know, that kept me sick for a few days. And I'm sure it crossed my mind, well, could this be it? But I knew I didn't have pneumonia, and I knew I wasn't coughing or what. I mean, I knew. So I don't fall into that trap too much.
What do you do about the issue of blood? I think it's one of the issues that people who are not HIV positive are so fearful.
I mean, I have had people say things like, I remember once I was with some women friends at, actually staying overnight, and I said, I don't have a toothbrush, and she said, oh, you can use my toothbrush. And I said, no, I can't. And she said, why? And I said, I can't use your toothbrush if there's any blood on my, you know. I think, again, the chances are very slim of that happening, but they exist. Mm-hmm. I'm frankly, you know, like, I think I did it with you, actually, or somebody last night. If somebody will give me a bite of their food, mm-hmm. like, is it a problem for me to eat off of their fork and then have them use the same fork and eat? I absolutely 100% believe that's not a problem.
But do you think other people perceive it to be a problem?
Well, if I do, a little. What I'm saying is I know in my intellectual head that's not a problem, but emotionally it's a bit of a problem for me. I must say that I completely thought about Mac dealing with me. He deals with me 100% fine. I have had sound men totally afraid of me, and I can sense it a mile away. Totally afraid to touch me. He totally is not afraid of my body, but some people are. You can't, I don't know, it's ignorance. I mean, can you be mad at them? I don't know. Shortly after my chin implant, I told this guy my name was Patrick, and he said, "Did you say perfect?" I'm close to perfect. I paid for it. I wasn't born this way. Teeth, nose, cheekbones, all done. Best hair cutter in the city. And I go to the gym 3 hours a day, 7 days a week. Easy to imagine somebody thought my name was perfect. Being perfect ain't easy. I work at it. I also have the perfect car, condo, and closet full of clothes. Barry, my lover, also perfect. Rich, gorgeous, powerful. We're in the entertainment industry. He's an agent at William Morris. I'm an accountant at Disney. Perfect. People are always saying I look like I'm an actor, but I think that's just because I'm gay. Not that I'm completely out of the closet. Neither is Barry. I mean, we're out, except to our parents, and at work. Sometimes we even take dates to office functions. We have to. It's just part of the Hollywood game. We don't need to march in gay pride parades or any of that bullshit. We make a yearly donation, $50 each, anonymously. Our lifestyle is really our own business. When I ask about these, I really resented a plastic surgeon suggesting I have the test. I mean, look at me. Do I look sick? Barry and I have been together for 7 years. Has it been a monogamous relationship? The doctor wanted to know. It's been perfect, I told him. Well, I know Barry has been faithful to me, and I've only cheated well, not cheated, really. Fooled around. The gym. Do you and your lover have safe sex? The doctor had the nerve to ask. Of course not. Why would we? We've been together for 7 years. It's perfectly monogamous, Barry thinks.
I can't destroy that. Besides, he might leave me, and I can't stand to be alone. Barry doesn't like to fuck. I do the fucking in the family. So when this really hot guy came on to me at the gym, I let him fuck me. You don't usually carry a condom into the steam room at the Sports Connection, now do you? It happened once a week for several months. He is an actor. To die for. Clean cut. Look at me. Do I look sick? Fuck it, I said, I'll take the test. There's no way. No way. Get AIDS in the steam room at the gym looking the way I do. Come on, get serious. It's so clean in there. When the doctor told me I was positive, I thought he must be kidding, not me. Look! Do I look sick? Then I thought about the actor. He couldn't have given it me. He didn't look sick. He simply couldn't. He's a TV star. There was this kid a couple of years before the actor. Maybe it was him. I let him fuck me in the john on the lot at Disney. Dick of death. That was before we knew anything about AIDS. He worked in the mailroom. He was black. Even though he was clean, Barry would die. Who? Gave it to me. Are you sure about your lover? The doctor asked like he's in some third-rate movie of the week. No, I lied. It probably is his fault. But I'd know. Barry's not a good liar like I am. I'd know. The doctor lectured me about protecting Barry immediately, but I can't tell anyone, and I sure as hell can't tell Barry. Tell him I'm giving him AIDS for Christmas. Come on, get serious. The only answer is to kill myself. I never wanted to get old anyway. What's that line? Live fast, die young, and have a beautiful corpse. I'm just going to disappear. There'll be no revelations, no screaming parents, no outraged lover, no obituary in Variety or the Hollywood Reporter, no crow's feet. No 40th birthday party, no 20th high school reunion, no 10th year anniversary with Barry. No more lies, no more bullshit, no more plastic surgery, no more hating myself, no more hangovers, no more sex in bushes and johns, no more, no more, no more. No more poppers. No more steroids. No more cocaine. No more hope. Like Norman Maine in A Star is Born, I am going to walk into the Pacific Ocean at sunset. Judy will be singing in the kitchen. A perfect Hollywood ending. Perfect. How are you?
Real good. How was your day?
It was traumatic.
Get any rest or anything?
Did I get any rest? No. Their fault.
The rest you're lying down.
Yeah, oh yeah, I was lying down the whole time.
I'm not even going to ask. I'm not even gonna ask.
Are you? I'm used to the camera, yeah. Pretty much at this point.
24 hours a day.
I won't know how to act on Monday. I won't know how to act. You know, tonight, this is our secret, TJ.
Okay.
I need a quick getaway.
Okay.
In other words, actually Nicola knows. But if after the question and answer, can you just bring me back? I have a date. And and I want to get back here.
How did you manage that with the camera?
Post haste. This was arranged weeks ago.
Oh, I'm going out. I have a date. I'll see you. I'm not going to do an interview now. Just somebody from the press is here. So, I mean, I'll do an interview tomorrow maybe, but I'm going to the hotel to meet somebody, a friend. A sexy friend. Do you...
Can we come?
No!
Why not?
Oh.
Why not?
Because I need some time by myself. I need some time with one other person, and not Curly, Joe, and Mo. Did you like that? I want to be alone. Actually, with one person. That's it. There's no reason for an HIV positive person to not have sex. And I hear a lot of it, and then it's, you know, a lot of moaning and groaning and self-pity and you know, a lot of tragedy going on. You can have a perfectly passionate sex life and be HIV positive, and you can have sex with people who are HIV negative and negotiate what's going on, and nobody's going to get hurt. Bye! One of the most thrilling things for me is to find an HIV negative man who's willing to have sex with somebody HIV positive. I mean, I think it says a lot about their character and a lot about their sensitivity and bravery and you know, provided this isn't a drug addict or somebody 12 years old. You know what I'm getting at. In other words, an adult who's mature and healthy and can say, I'm HIV negative, you're HIV positive, let's have sex and be careful, and these are the things. I mean, that's a pretty thrilling circumstance.
My mom always said that boys with hemophilia had three things in common. We was bright, he was good looking, and we was all daredevils. My name's Mike. I'm an alcoholic and a daredevil. My looks and my brain cells is ancient fucking history, but I'm still a fucking daredevil. Or I wouldn't fucking be here. Oh, I've been called a lot of other things, from mama's boy to motherfucker. When I was a kid in school, I was called a sissy because I couldn't do sports on account of the danger internal bleeding being real fucking painful. In gym class, I was great on how well I put away the equipment and took the roll call. My mama, she wouldn't let me out of her sight. She's always guilt-tripping herself about me. My baby, she'd say over and over again, it's all my fault, you're all I got, and it's all my fault, it's all my fault. She drove my old man fucking nuts. She never paid no attention to that poor bastard, so eventually he split. Now that's when she really started drinking. That's when I started drinking. If I did have an accident, even a bump up against a piece of furniture, it could be real fucking painful. So she began medicating me with a few sips of her drink. Tasted good. After a while, she started pouring me a drink whenever she poured herself one, which was pretty fucking often. By the time I was in high school, I learned to outdrink her. She'd be passed out, I'd go out and get me drunk on my butt.
Of course, I always wound up in the emergency room for a blood transfusion. She come and rescue me. My baby, it's all my fault. You're all I got. I started hating her. Well, I started staying out all night. Of course, she'd be there in the morning drinking, wringing her hands. My baby, it's all my fault, blah, 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 blah. When I got me a girl, Janine, she became insanely jealous, either threatening to kick me out of the house or begging me to stay home. I got Janine pregnant, proved I was no sissy. I decided to marry her for one thing and get me out of the house away from that drunken, smothering bitch. Janine, she had a boy, healthy boy. He's normal. He had a normal childhood, something I never knew. Janine, she started giving him a whole bunch of attention. I got 2 little boys to take care of. She always used to say, well, you know, it is true. She did take care of me. I couldn't hold down a job. I was drinking pretty heavy about this time, and then I started in with motorcycles. Motorcycles got me out of the house, away from Janine, little Mike. I was only happy when I was on my bike, stoned out of my mind, on my way somewhere, nowhere. Of course, I always wound up in the emergency room for a transfusion. About this time, we hemophiliacs was hearing about this blood concentrate shit that made life a lot easier, but I already had arthritis from internal bleeding. I was in chronic fucking pain. Motorcycle accidents, they didn't help none. I had to have me a hip replacement and a shoulder replacement. Janine, she raised little Mike pretty much by herself. By the time he was in high school, oh, he's a tough little bastard. He really hated me. One night, I had this gigantic blowout with Janine. I guess I hit her pretty bad. Well, little Mike, he freaked out. He almost killed me. Seriously. Missed my face, punched me in the throat. I started to bleed internally. I couldn't breathe. Who can blame him? That's when he forced her to choose between him and me. She said she couldn't make that decision, so he made it for her. He split. About 10 years ago. Now, that's when we bleeders started hearing about AIDS, a disease for faggots and drug addicts spread by butt fucking and needle sharing. A bunch of hemophiliacs started getting that AIDS test. Not me. No fucking way was I going to volunteer to go to a doctor. I've been going to doctors my entire fucking life. No fag disease was going to kill me. I survived this far. You know, I figure if a hemophiliac did get it, he must be a secret axe murderer or cocksucker. Janine, she tried to get me to wear a rubber like some scared sissy. I'm not the pussy, you are, I'd tell her. You don't let me fuck you without a faggot rubber, I'll find some broad who will. And I did. Plenty of them. Well, Janine, she knew it was time to kick my ass out, so she started going to meetings for wives of alcoholics or some such bullshit. Shouldn't I be the one going to meeting, I asked her? She seemed to be getting happier while I was getting sicker. Even the booze wouldn't kill the pain. I was constantly fucking sick and tired. I couldn't ride my back. Fuck, I couldn't walk across the fucking room. She'd be off at her meetings. I'd be at home burning up with fever, shitting in my pants. One night I had to call my old lady to come over and clean me up. My baby, she kept saying. Over and over again, like she was thrilled shitless. I was covered in crap. Janine, she took care of me less and less, but she did agree to take me to get that AIDS test. The doctor, he took one look at me and knew. I just couldn't fucking believe it. What was I being punished for? Janine, she started laughing when I said that. Laughing in my face. I remember, barely, because I was pretty drunk at the time, grabbing a knife and going for her throat. Stop the laughter. People have been laughing at me my entire fucking life. Well, now Janine knew it was time to kick my ass out for real. After more than 20 fucking years, but who can fucking blame her? I had nowhere to go but home to my miserable, pathetic, fucked up old lady. That was the most miserable, pathetic, fucked up moment of my entire miserable, pathetic, fucked up life. Rock fucking bottom. I began to pray. Let me die quick. Thought about slashing my wrist. Losing blood didn't scare me none. Losing blood's what I've been doing my entire fucking life. Found out little Mike came home to visit Janine. I wanted to see him before I done myself in. He won't see you if you're drunk. Janine said, all right. I said, then I'll get sober. I dare you, she said. I told you I'm still Daredevil. She gave me this number to call. I've been sober now for about 25 days. Living in this halfway house away from my pathetic mother. Got together a couple weeks ago with little Mike. He's bigger than I am. He's queer. Yeah, that's what he told me. Gay. Jesus fucking Christ, is it my fault? No, he says he was born that way. He likes being different. He says he was born that way like I was born a hemophiliac. I asked him if he caught AIDS yet. He says he don't have sex. Then how do you know you're gay, I asked him. He just laughed when I said that. But not at me. I laughed too for the first time in years and years and years. I guess that got me a lot to learn. I don't want one, by the way. I don't want one.
One what?
Memorial.
It's okay.
I don't want a memorial. Because I don't want to give people an opportunity to come wail and boo-hoo and say how much they love me. They should do that now. I'm not interested in that happening after I'm dead. I think it's really tedious. And you see these people, I mean, I've been taking care of people up to the minute when they're croaked, and 2 days later at a memorial, all these people are crying and yelling. Well, where were they? They didn't bring any food. They didn't make a phone call. It's such bullshit. And in Hollywood, it's heightened by the fact that they're there looking for jobs. I've heard people say it. I mean, there are actors and actresses all dolled up coming to memorials to get work. It's a fact. It's an absolute fact. It happened last week. I didn't go. Somebody said, oh, well, you know, they'll be casting people there. I said, I can't even believe you're saying this. Is this a joke? The Murphy Brown producers will be there. I'm not, is this like black comedy? It's totally real. And I've also been to too many where they don't mention the word AIDS or don't say the word gay, where I always consider I'm now going to jump up, run up to the front of the room and start screaming at the top of my lungs. I feel pretty clear that I'm going to die, no matter what it's of. I'm going to die happy, silly, funny.
What will you wear?
Peaceful. Oh, probably something glamorous, I would imagine.
Like what?
Some fabulous robe or something. I like death, though. So, I mean, I sort of have a love affair with death, which is not necessarily healthy.
What do you mean?
Well, for one thing, it's so theatrical, it's romantic, it's dramatic, it's juicy, it's adrenaline pumping, it's...
I don't understand the point. The notion of dying?
All of it.
Itself?
Everything about it. I loved death when I was a child. I loved it.
What did you do?
If I heard the neighbor was dead or dying, I was in an absolute ecstatic state. I wanted to know every detail. What did they wear? What did she look like? How many people came? Did they cry? Did they scream? Did they yell? What color was the coffin? What color were the clothes? Did she have makeup on? I remember asking those questions. I was always fascinated by it. I think all kids visit cemeteries. I love cemeteries more than anything. I would go get the ribbons off the grave. I love the flowers on the grave. I love the gravestones. I love death. Before we came here, I called my
machine, those answering machine messages are so indicative of my life, which is absolutely about death. And I mean, the call from Sydney, the man, the boy, he's somewhere between a boy and a man in Sydney who's very sick. I may never hear from him again. I made it a point to myself to call him when I get back because I know I may never hear his voice again. Then I get the messages about And the Band Played On, which of course is about AIDS. I get the messages about seeing me on Entertainment Tonight, which is about AIDS. I get the message from my roommate who's going for treatments, which is about AIDS. I get the message that one of our mutual friends is dead and I'm invited to a memorial, which is about AIDS. Now I'm in a cemetery talking about AIDS. Tonight I'll do a show talking about AIDS. And tomorrow the string of messages will happen again, and I'll probably hear about another death before the end of the week.
We were not identical twins, not identical in any way. Even as kids, my mama says, we were as different as day and night, black and white. For one thing, Vinny had this bright red hair, a red-headed Italian. My hair's always been black like the rest of the family. Vinny, he was this rambunctious kid, always overactive. I remember he broke something 3 summers in a row. His arm, his wrist, his collarbone. He wasn't athletic as much as he was physical, climbing trees, riding bikes in the pouring rain, showing off on the monkey bars. He drove our folks crazy with the hospital bills. I was always the opposite of Vinny, even our names, Anthony and Vincent. How's that for 2 Italian Catholic boys from New York? Nobody ever called me Tony, ever, to this day, but he was always Vinny. Nobody ever called him Vincent. I was always Anthony, serious, studious, determined to make our parents proud. When I enrolled in the seminary, Vinny enrolled in cosmetology school. I swear he did it just to infuriate our folks. It was a deliberate act of defiance. A hairdresser? While I stayed close to home, Vinny traveled all over the world, London, Paris, Rome. We lost touch with him. Then one Sunday evening, I was visiting my folks. I have dinner with my folks every Sunday evening. And this news segment came on the TV, something about Gay Pride Day in San Francisco. And there was Vinny, larger than life, red hair and all, in a parade, twirling a baton. Well, there were lots of tears from my mom and shouting from my dad. They decided to disown him. I remember there were lots of AIDS victims in the parade, and my father saying it was God's will. The next Sunday in church, my sermon upheld the teachings of the Catholic Church. Homosexuality is not condoned. There is no such thing as safe sex. Abstinence is the answer. At least my parents had one son to be proud of. I was shocked to hear from Vinny about a year later, since we had hardly spoken in our entire adult lives. He had 2 tickets to go to Paris, he said, and he wanted to take his twin brother. I don't know why, but without telling my parents, I went. The first night there, we went to this elegant restaurant, Dodin Bouffant. Vinny chose it partly because of the name. A hair reference. Bouffant, as in girl singers from the 50s, he said. He could be very funny. There was this blonde woman at the table across from us who mesmerized me. I guess you could say she was a free spirit. She was flirting with this older bald man, kissing his smooth, shiny head, running her long red fingernails across his neck. Very sexy, seductive. When she got up to leave, I got a look at her long black skirt, slit all the way up, revealing these incredible legs. She was so comfortable with herself, so uninhibited, so passionate. She reminded me of Vinny. The next day we went to the Louvre to see the David show. There was a woman being yanked away from the exhibit by her crude husband. "You've seen enough," he said. Determined to please him, she left, looking longingly over her shoulder at all those dramatic, sensuous masterpieces. She was wearing a white blouse buttoned all the way up, strangling her. She looked squelched, constipated. I saw myself in her. Those two women were as different as Vinny and me. The Paris trip didn't make much sense until about 6 months later, when I got word that my twin brother was in the hospital and would probably not leave. Again, unbeknownst to my parents, I went to his side. I'll say this, he never lost his sense of humor. He was shaving one day. He insisted on shaving himself, even though he was terribly weak, and he dropped the hand mirror. It shattered. "In my case, that's 7 days bad luck," he said. He died 8 days later. He lost all of his beautiful red hair. I have been a priest for almost 10 years, and being with my brother when he died is the only spiritual experience I've ever known. I kissed his bald head, and I caressed his neck with my fingertips. After he died, I told him a secret. "We are identical," I said. "I have AIDS too." I did not get infected from handling my brother's vomit. I did not get infected from wiping my brother's tears. I did not get infected from touching my brother's shit. I did not get infected from tasting my brother's saliva. I loved his diarrhea. I loved his puke. I loved his sweat, and I loved his... I got infected from having sex with young boys in my parish, hustlers off the street, husbands of wives who come to me for marriage counseling. Being a good Catholic, I didn't use a condom. Neither did they. Not only have I, in the name of Holy Mother, the Church, murdered my own twin brother, I have killed all my brothers. How many Hail Marys should I say for penance? Perhaps I should splatter not red paint, but my own blood on the steps of the Vatican. Perhaps I should pin a pink triangle onto my long black skirt. Perhaps I should learn how to love my fellow man. If it weren't for my parents, they're in their 70s, it would kill them. I'm all that they have. Father Anthony is all that they have. If there is a God, which I doubt, surely he will have mercy and take them before me.
no matter how healthy and evolved and no matter how much of a person I think I've become, I still think that, you know, I carry within me this wounded, unloved child. And it seems that the way to deal with that is to not allow another child to be unloved. My plans for the next year or so are a complete, I'm going to utilize a complete different part of myself.
Which part?
Well, this is my secret, so I might as well get to my secret. I've begun procedures to adopt a child. So, which has been an incredibly, the most complicated thing of my life. It's just been unbelievable. And it's taken, you know, just taken so much courage. And of course, you know, no one has any idea what the feelings are around it. I mean, I only could talk to women about it, because no man would understand the physiological stuff that exists with me about kids. So this has been like, you know, I've actually sent paperwork in, and I mean, I'm considering all kinds of possibilities, co-parenting. I mean, I'm considering everything. This is the question that everyone asks. Are you setting up a situation for this child to have to go through some incredible loss or pain? My answer to that is, I believe in myself enough that even if I only give this child 3 years, that 3 years with me will be incredibly valuable, no matter what happens after that 3 years. And in most cases, we're talking about kids who would be bounced around and not parented and maybe in foster homes and not loved in any way to begin with. Like, we're not taking a child out of a perfect home and putting it into my lap. We're taking a child who probably wouldn't have much anyway, and hoping that whatever goes on between me and that child. So I think it's the most defiant thing I've done in terms of being HIV positive.
I remember screaming, what it was like to scream, to cry, to express myself. I remember the sound of my voice, screaming, crying. I remember the sound of his voice, screaming, and the sound of her voice, crying. I do not remember the sound of laughter, or coochie coochie coo. I do not remember saying mama or dada. I do not remember hearing my name. Paul is my name. I have been deaf all my life, almost, since I was 18 months old. High fever is what they told me. 2 words, high fever, like high school, high tide, high noon, high hopes. That was the explanation, high fever. I do not remember laughing or hoping. No hope, no high hopes, no sound, no voice, No more screams, no more cries. I knew I did something wrong. I knew I was bad. It was all my fault. Even though I couldn't hear, I knew he was screaming at me and she was crying because of me. It was all my fault. I could not hear. I could not speak. I was bad. I was a freak. They sent me to a normal school with hearing kids. I was not really deaf, they insisted. I would get over it. I was forbidden to learn sign language. I attempted to read lips. I only knew one other deaf person my age. A boy I was forbidden to see. Scott. I met him accidentally in a park. He was there with his parents, who were also deaf. They were a happy family, speaking sign language. They looked like animals in the zoo, my father said. Scott would come to my house when my parents were not home. He taught me how to sign. He taught me how to jack off. We were 10 or 11. He taught me to speak with my hands and my fingers. Feels great, he'd say, putting my hands on his cock and balls. Then he'd put his hands on mine and I'd sign, feels great. He taught me to speak without words, with my tongue and my mouth. He stuck his tongue inside my ear, and for a moment I thought I heard the words, I love you. He spoke with his tongue and his fingertips. Feels great, I'd sign. A good student. My father caught us in bed, naked. We'd fallen asleep in each other's arms with our worn-out fingers entwined. My father beat the shit out of me and told Scott's parents, wrote them actually, about their deaf and dumb faggot of a son. I went to sleep that night, smelling Scott on my sheets and tasting blood in my mouth. The message was clear. The only thing worse than being deaf was being a fag.
I learned to speak, to please my dad. I got married to please my dad. To a hearing girl, naturally. It was a disaster. I could not fuck any better than I could speak. Sometimes, remembering Scott thought wet tongue in my ear, I could perform, but mostly I failed. She thought it was because I was deaf. I guess she thought all deaf guys are impotent. Don't laugh. Most people think we can't drive a car. I began, secretly of course, pursuing men in the park, in public journeys, anonymous encounters where I didn't have to speak. Oh, I give new meaning to playing hard to get. Guys would ask me my name, I wouldn't respond. Guys would ask me for my phone number, I wouldn't respond. Guys would ask me what I like to do, I wouldn't respond. Now remember, this was the 70s. They didn't think I was deaf, they thought I was hot. I became a star of the anonymous sex circuit, a silent star, but a compulsive one. Who never once said thank you. I divorced my wife, much to the dismay of my parents. I divorced my parents. I isolated, collecting SSI and watching movies about straight people and reading books about hearing people. Sex was my only human contact on bodies of nameless strangers. I composed love songs with my tongue, wrote sonnets with my fingertips. And I could do it all. Fuck, get stuck, standing up. Just don't ask me to talk dirty. I didn't consider myself gay anymore that I consider myself deaf. I thought you had to go to bed, to a man's bedroom to be gay, to get AIDS. I began getting mysterious ailment in 1986 or 7. I went to the free clinic. They tested me. 2 weeks later, after daily unsafe and unfound encounters against cold like porcelain and other dying dry brown branches, I got the result. Positive. There is an available counselor who knows how to sign the doctor wrote under the word positive. He also handed me a pamphlet, AIDS and the Deaf. I ripped up that pamphlet and stormed out of the clinic, realizing for the first time in my life, I am deaf, I am gay, and I am going to die. No friend, no family, no one to tell, no way to tell. Nothing. Do it die. I could blow my brains out without hearing a thing. Instead, what I did, I went back to that clinic and found that pamphlet, AIDS and the Deaf. I went to a meeting. There was a room filled with deaf, gay men, all communicating passionately. Each one was infected with HIV. Everyone sat in a circle and told his story in sign. And even though I didn't fully understand, I got enough. And what I didn't get, them really who got in the group wrote down for me. When my turn came, thank God I remembered those 2 words that God had taught me to sign. Field grade. Gradually, I began to get honest with myself. I finally learned to sign. I finally admitted what I'd known all along. My deafness was not caused by high fever. My father had beat me into silence. It doesn't matter how this guy in the group said deafness is a gift. He also believed being gay is a gift. And having HIV is a gift. His name is Billy. He described himself as part Helen Keller and part Mary Poppins. He is the opposite of me. But I love him. Except God, Billy is the only person I ever had sex with in horizontal position. The only person I ever made love with. That is a gift. For sure. I have more feelings about this shoot being over than I do the show being over. Well, it's that whole dance with immortality, I think, that everybody engages in, whether they want to or not. I mean, if I get killed in a car accident or on the plane tomorrow or die of HIV or AIDS, I know that this will be there. And, you know, all the work will not have been in vain. I mean, I'm sure that's why I pushed through those characters in the way that I did tonight. then also there's just the issue of I just don't like to say goodbye now to anybody. I just have real, I know that people think, you know, that they won't see me again. So, I mean, every time I say goodbye to somebody that lives in a different city, I think that it's always going on in their mind that it's the last time they'll see me alive.